It's Friday, September 27. In the headlines in local news, Prime Minister Holness says Jamaica poised to meet UN Sustainable Development Goals, and EOJ finalizing preparations for Northeast St. Anne by-election. Regionally, region experts meet to bolster disaster management and response. And in sports, ISA slaps penalties on Dinthill technical players after the Costa Cup brawl. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Brittany Clark. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says Jamaica is poised to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, set out by the United Nations. He made the assertion while speaking at the contract signing and groundbreaking for Spice Grove Infrastructure Works project in Rockabessa, St. Mary this week.
Economic shock says as natural disasters and the COVID-19 pandemic are some of the reasons behind Jamaica's delay in achieving its own Vision 2030, the man at the helm, however, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says, of all the countries across the Caribbean, the island is most likely to hit the SDGs.
For most countries, they are only achieving 16% of the targets that they had set under the SDGs. 16%. And that's really a challenge. Jamaica is doing much better than the rest of the world. And in fact, Jamaica is the leading country in the Caribbean for meeting the SDG goals based upon our National Development Plan. In fact, we're about 60% of the way there.
Mr. Holness is confident that with additional efforts and renewed commitment, Jamaica can achieve developed country status.
There have been setbacks, no doubt. Sometimes the national conversation forgot that the world was struck by COVID. And for 2 years, there was barely any investment that could be made in social development. We had a massive supply side shock where supply chains were disrupted, growth fell off, and inflation went up. So all of those things had an impact on the pace at which we fulfill the Sustainable Development Goals. But the government is recommitting itself to redoubling its effort so that Jamaica achieves the developed country status. Now, for all the people who live here in Spicy Grove, for you are
The 17 SDGs are part of the UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and coincide with aspects of Jamaica's first long-term strategic development plan, Vision 2030. Among the goals are the eradication of poverty, quality education, and economic growth. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
Meanwhile, residents of Spice Grove are set to benefit from multi-million-dollar infrastructure project. The project aims to build out road networks, infrastructure, and formalize land tenure for residents. Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary, Robert Montague, says the project was long in coming and it will bring changes to the community.
After today, Prime Minister, we're not calling here Spicy Grove, so. We're going to call it the Hills of Spicy Grove. We have to not only improve the physical environment, we must also begin to let people know that a new community is going to emerge. And those that will get their title, and as we have discussed with the residents, that some people are going to have to move them fence and some people are going to have to shift up a little bit and all of that. But we have dealt with it and we're moving forward.
The Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, is wrapping up its final preparations for the Northeast St. Anne by-election scheduled for Monday, September 30. In a statement on Thursday, the EOJ says polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and preliminary vote counting will begin immediately after the polls close at each location. Election day workers have already completed their training and will be stationed at 146 polling stations across 27 voting locations in the constituency. The EOJ reminds that only registered voters within Northeast St. Anne are eligible to participate. Additionally, voters are entitled to 3 hours off from work to cast their ballots, which is separate from their lunch break. This, they say, does not apply to work starting at 10 a.m. or later, or finishing work at 2 p.m. or earlier. September is Senior Citizens Month. It's when we intensify public education about what to expect as you get older and how members of your extended family play a key role in the experience. Program Development Officer at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Kamisha Shaw Kelly, has been working with the elderly for years. Simone Absalom Gale got some guidance from her in the latest episode of PBCJ's Blueprint to Health.
Let's discuss some of the nutritional tips for persons who are getting up in age. What should we bear in mind? What should we be eating? Well, you did mention you should give up drinking so much alcohol.
Yes.
I don't know how that's going to go over to a lot of Jamaicans. But yes, when you're getting up in age, it is advised that you drink a lot less alcohol. But what else can you tell us in terms of nutrition, Doc?
So you'd want to maintain a regular eating schedule. Because I find for some older persons, they're not eating on time, and that tends to be an issue. So having a schedule helps. So the body would be programmed somewhat, or the mind, or you have a plan stating, okay, I'll have breakfast at this point, I'll have my snack at this point, I'll have my lunch at this point. So some older adults may need to have this focused effort to eat regularly. Eating with others is another. So you socialize with your family member. That's when they can discuss in terms of connecting with others while eat. So a shared meal can be especially uplifting if persons are experiencing depression, loneliness, or lack of interest in activities.
And you can also get information from them as well, like what happened during the day if they had a fall. It is when you socialize with them that you get to hear some of the issues they're having. Elderly people tend to keep some of the issues that they're having, some of the symptoms that they're facing, they keep it to themselves.
Yes.
And then it's when you have the conversation and they'll say, okay, you know, the knee's hurting, or, you know, I had a fall today. When you ask them, what happened today, grandma? Or what's happened today, mommy or daddy? They probably want to keep it from you, or they probably think that you don't care, or they think that, okay, young people are living their lives, I don't want to burden them. They didn't ask.
That's one of the things you commonly hear. I don't want to bother or burden them. Yes, so as a result, they didn't say.
So the dinner table, I think, would be a good place to get some of
good.
these information from them.
Yes, another thing too is you want to practice food safety habits. So as to prevent foodborne illness, look at the expiration dates. And you also want to take special care to wash your hands and the surfaces often, and ensure that the foods or the meat or the eggs, those are properly cooked. And refrigerate the leftovers promptly. Also, get into the habit of having the fibers, so add fibers to the meal. So you want to add like your whole grains, raw fruits and vegetables, very important. Also to ensure that you're eating healthy fats. We know now is avocado season, so increased in terms of the intake of the avocados. And reduce, as I stated earlier, the salt consumption, especially for those persons who are hypertensive. So persons can season their food with garlic, the herbs instead. It still gives the flavor.
Yes.
And not so much high in the salt intake, and reduce the salt intake. Ensure that persons stay hydrated. That's another thing. And when I speak to our older persons, they sometimes forget to drink their water. So it's very important, especially since the time is so hot now, to stay hydrated and maximize in terms of the vitamin D intake. So increase in terms of the exposure sometime in the earlier part of the mornings, can go out to get some sunlight.
Or as my grandaunt, she sweeps the yard in the morning.
Okay,
so that's her activity.
Right, activities like that. And remember to speak to the healthcare provider they will give further advice.
All right. Those are some good tips, Doc. All right. So we spoke about what they can do, but how can family members get involved in ensuring that the members of their household who fall into the age gap of senior citizens continue to live long and healthy lives?
So it's very important that in whatever is done, that our older population continue to feel independent. So you want to ensure that they are active. You would support in whatever way possible. You can provide support. For family members also, you want to reassure that you love and care for your older, whether it be your mother, your grandmother, aunt, grandaunt. Love irrespective of the surprises. They might sometimes give some harsh words, they might be aggressive sometimes, depending on the illness that they might have. Don't be afraid, as I would say to the caregivers, to ask for help. There's something we call caregiver's burden. You want to ensure as a caregiver too that you take care of yourself, because how can you provide support if you yourself fall ill? And remember that your health and well-being is equally as important as the care recipient.
You can catch the full episode this Sunday on PBCJ at 4:30 p.m. In the business report, Victoria Mutual Group subsidiary BCIC will acquire JN General Insurance. In a joint press release on Wednesday, the company said it is, quote, in the advanced stages of an agreement concerning the transfer of ownership, unquote. According to the joint release, quote, business continues as normal at all JNGI locations and clients will be unaffected by the pending change. JNGI remains financially strong with solid reinsurance agreements and the company is able to meet its financial obligations, unquote. Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC, is encouraging micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, across Jamaica to participate in the upcoming Biz Zone, scheduled for Tuesday, October 1. The virtual event starts at 10 a.m. and will facilitate a discussion on the topic, How Digital Technologies Can Boost Competitiveness, led by CEO of Get Paid Suite, Leighton Campbell, who won the 2019 JBDC Bossman of the Year. The session will be facilitated on Zoom. For more information on the event, interested individuals should visit the JBDC website or contact the agency. We now have the stock updates from Denise Williams.
During trading for the period September 26, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Alternative energy provider Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 6,475,240 units represent 19.23% of the total market volume in terms of sales. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with 4,797,278 units represents 14.25% of the total volume in terms of sales. One-on-One Educational Services Limited with 4,326,446 units represents 12.85% of the total market volume in terms of sales. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the stock market, we turn to the Forex market. On September 26, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $51.29 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $48.90 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $158.68, and bought the US dollar for $157.17. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.51, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of $4.88 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold for $118.38 and bought for $113.50. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $1.72, selling it for $212.43 and buying it for $210.71. For the credit report tip of the day, your monthly credit score is sent to the banks and other financial institutions by the Credit Bureau. Paying bills on time only accounts for 35% of your credit score, but it's not the only way to strengthen your financial standing. Here are two other suggestions. You could negotiate lower interest rates. Lower interest rates allow you to pay off balances faster, reducing debt and improving your credit score over time. Additionally, you can consolidate debt with personal loans. Consolidating high-interest credit card debt into a personal loan with fixed rate can reduce interest payments and improve your credit score. And with that, we wrap up today's business report.
In regional news, in a bid to enhance regional resilience, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, is prioritizing swift recovery strategies for crises. This vital focus was underscored at the 15th meeting of CDEMA's Civil Society Sector Subcommittee. TTT News' Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell has these updates.
Regional disaster organizations and members of civil society are working to include a wider group of stakeholders in their comprehensive disaster management strategy. Charge d'Affaires of Canada's High Commission to Trinidad and Tobago, Patricia Fortier, notes with climate change, the unexpected is becoming more of a regular feature.
In any case where there's disaster, there is no choice but to rely on one another. So, we must put in place systems, skills, and plans to prepare for these events.
Deputy Executive Director of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, endorses Ms. Fortier's view.
We are undoubtedly witnessing unprecedented challenges and changes in the weather pattern. As you would have just recognized, that Beryl was one of the earliest storm ever experienced within our Atlantic. And we recognize too the severe and catastrophic impacts that these events have on our communities.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the Office of Disaster Preparedness Management, retired Major General Rodney Smart, highlighted the work which is being done at the local level.
Trinidad and Tobago has taken deliberate steps to integrate civil society actors into our cabinet-appointed National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Multi-Sectoral Committee. This strategic collaboration ensures that community-based efforts align with national strategies, advancing our shared goals of building readiness and resilience.
The Civil Society Subcommittee of CDEMA aims to better understand the needs of civil society in terms of funding gaps, which could be covered and advanced in the coming months. The meeting, taking place in Port of Spain, ends on Friday. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell, TTT News.
Guyana's President, Dr. Irfan Ali, speaking at the 79th UN General Assembly, emphasized international law as Guyana's defense against Venezuelan aggression. He referenced the 1899 ruling that set the border, initially accepted by Venezuela, and noted Venezuela's recent participation in the International Court of Justice after years of absence. Ali expressed hope that Venezuela will respect the court's decision, as Guyana has committed to doing.
We remind this August Assembly that the border between Guyana and Venezuela was fully, finally, and perfectly settled in an 1899 award by an international tribunal. Venezuela was fully represented in that tribunal, whose award it proclaimed in its own Congress and welcomed for more than 6 decades. Before reopening the issue on the eve of Guyana's independence, claiming 2/3 of our territory. This controversy, initiated by Venezuela, was submitted by Guyana to the International Court of Justice in accordance with a decision of the United Nations Secretary General and consistent with our position to settle this matter by legal and peaceful means. In 2023, in light of intensified acts of aggression by Venezuela, the ICJ issued provisional measures stating that, and I quote, pending a final decision in the case, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela shall refrain from taking any action which would modify the situation that currently prevails in the territory in dispute, whereby the Cooperative Republic of Guyana administers and exercises control over the area, end of quote. After years of refusing to participate in the proceedings of the ICJ and stating that it does not recognize the jurisdiction of the court, the Venezuelan government has now submitted a counter-memorial to Guyana's submission. We welcome Venezuela's decision to participate in the court's proceedings and express the hope that Venezuela will accept the decision of the court, as Guyana has long pledged to do. I reaffirm Guyana's unwavering commitment to a peaceful resolution of this long-standing controversy in full conformity with international law and the principles set forth in the United Nations Charter.
In sports, we begin with an update on point standing in the 2024 Issa Digicel Manning Cup. Defending champions Mona High dominated Gainston High 18-0 at Papine on Thursday, reinforcing their lead in Zone B. With this victory, Mona remains unbeaten with 15 points. Charlie Smith High missed a chance to keep up, settling for a 2-all draw with Jonathan Grant, leaving both teams at 10 points, with Charlie Smith in second on goal difference. Meanwhile, Gainstead continues to struggle, suffering their second double-digit loss this season and remaining at the bottom of the table without a point, having conceded 57 goals in 5 matches. Their only goal came in a 7-1 defeat to Tarrant High on September 12. In Zone A, last season's runners-up, Hydel High secured a 4-1 away victory against Dunoon Technical at Excelsior High. With this win, Hydel maintains a strong start, totaling 9 points from 3 games, but trails Eltham High, who lead on goal difference despite having 9 points. On Thursday, Issa management announced the disciplinary actions following a brawl involving Dintil Technical football players at Saturday's Zone J Da Costa Cup match against McGraw High, which included an alleged assault on a referee. Malik White and Shamir Hutchinson have been banned from all Issa competitions for 1 year, while teammate Tyrese Gow faces a suspension for 3 Da Costa Cup matches starting September 26, 2024. In addition, Dintil Technical has been placed on a 3-year probation and could face suspension from future Issa events if any further violations occur. In news on cricket, Dwayne Sir Champion Bravo took to his Instagram page to announce his retirement from cricket. This comes after Bravo announced that this will be his last season as a player in the Republic Bank CPL.
Dwayne Sir Champion Bravo took to his Instagram page to announce his retirement from cricket. This comes after Bravo announced that this will be his last season as a player in the Republic Bank CPL. Trinbago Knight Riders captain Kyron Pollard announced that Bravo suffered a groin injury in a losing effort against the St. Lucia Kings on Tuesday, which has effectively ruled him out of the remainder of the tournament.
Dwayne Bravo, in terms of cricket, he has given cricket, a lot. And for us in the camp, Obviously, it's heartbreaking because we knew how hard he worked in order to finish this tournament and to be with us, to finish to the end. But unfortunately, the master always has different plans, and for him, it's heart-wrenching. But as a champion, we'll always say he has given it his all. And for us as teammates and friends, we will try to do as much as possible to make him smile at the end of it. So from all of us, thank you, Dwayne. Obviously, we'll have our conversations going forward, but I think that's it for him from a playing career. But he has had a wonderful career. He has a good time, and he has represented us well as a nation and throughout the world.
Bravo thanked his family and fans for their unwavering support over the years, saying, quote, "Today is the day I say goodbye to the game that has given me everything. 21 years as a professional cricketer, it's been an incredible journey filled with many highs and a few lows. So with a heavy heart, I officially announce my retirement from this sport. Today, the champion bids farewell. To all my fans across the Caribbean, worldwide, and especially in Trinidad and Tobago, thank you for standing by me, especially in these recent weeks. Though this ending is bittersweet, I have no regrets about my career or this decision." End quote. Well, hats off to you, Dwayne, Sir Champion. Bravo. With 5 wins out of 8 matches so far in the Republic Bank CPL, the Trinbago Knight Riders are still pleased with their performances. Nazira Mohammed has the details.
TKR head coach Phil Simmons said, despite a winning start to the 2024 edition of the Republic Bank CPL, there's still room for improvement, and his team will be focusing on getting that done, starting with the game against the Barbados Royals tomorrow night in Tarouba.
Happy how we started here, but the last couple of games we haven't shown our true form. So we've been having a lot of discussion and a lot of reasoning around what needs to happen over the next couple of days, and we will be trying to make amends and start our upward trend from tomorrow night.
The team has been hit with a series of injuries, which forced TKR to chop and change the squad more than they would have liked this season. But Pollard commended his team for how they've played.
Given all the obstacles that has transpired throughout the season, we'll take where we are at this particular time. We have an opportunity still to finish in the top 2. We still have to play good cricket. We still have to play consistent cricket. But this has always happened.
Pollard said the quality of the tournament has gotten harder, despite teams having big names on paper.
All teams are stronger and they're playing very, very good cricket. Tactically, they are actually up there in terms of how the cricket should be played, which is a good sign, for us in the Caribbean. So it's never going to be a walkover. We would love to be sitting on top, smiling, talking something different, but that is the reality of the situation. And again, it is known in the dressing room what's needed to be done. We have guys who have been in different scenarios, and hopefully all the experience that we have and the exuberance of the youth as well will come forth, and we'll be able to finish the tournament a lot more consistent, as you expect, because I realize in this day and age, we just expect win, and that's it. But it doesn't happen in the real world.
TKR will take on the Barbados Royals in their final home game on Friday night at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Tarouba. First ball is at 8 p.m. Nasira Mohammed, TTT Sport.
That's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.